I know, but I've been doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, and here we are, 5 seconds in. I am live. So, hello, people out there in the internets. I'm chatting with a few friends right now who are going to be joining me for the live stream that is going to be starting in about 16 minutes. 16 minutes, is that it? About 16 minutes. 16 and a half minutes or so. We'll see, thereabouts. Oh, I need to take off my oxygen. Uh, okay, there we go. All right, too many wires crossing. That's why I do that. Um, okay, so as tradition, usually in the beginning of these videos, um, no, you guys can stay in chat, so you guys can hear what I'm saying, and then you guys can talk. It's not going to be recorded, but you guys can talk to me this way, and we can interact this way. So it's all good.
Double checking.
Yeah.
Type stuff in chat. Just
Well, I don't know if you have access to chat.
I can see it on YouTube, but just so everybody else can hear it.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool too. So yeah. But not everyone's going to be able to see it until I actually start streaming. I'm not streaming on Backer Kit right now. So, but anyway,
But you are live on YouTube.
yes, I am. So, what do I have a smudge on my shirt or something? Or
No,
you
you're
hadn't
Gotham'd out.
well, not with the hat, man. Like, I'm not Gothamed out with a hat. Yeah, but the shirt is Gotham. It's all Gotham. This is very true. So, yeah, I'm not talking to voices in my head. I've got friends in a Discord chat right now that I'm kind of talking with back to back, back and forth with, and one of them is about to join the YouTube chat, so you guys can actually see what he's meandering about. But this is our time before the live streams actually kick off, where I kind of ruminate upon things and talk to you about things. And uh, you are keeping me sane and on track. Yes, actually, no, laugh out loud because that's the God's honest truth. Um, so yeah. But usually when I'm doing all this ruminating and just discussing these early thoughts of this live stream with you guys, I come up with an idea for an award or a reward or a bonus of some sort. But I don't think I'm going to do that this time because of an announcement I'm going to be making. I do want to mention that I've run two sessions of the Aether Blood Chronicles to people. Just, somebody says they're interested, they'd like to see it, and I've run it. And granted, I'm supposed to be charging money for that, but the point of it is I want to give people a shot to enjoy it and check it out. Before they say they want to sit down with five of their best friends and fork out all that money for it. Right now they're playing with friends of mine. That's what it boils down to. So that may or may not be an enjoyable, expedition to encounter because some of my friends are words that I can't be mentioning right now. Because my mom might watch this. And of course, I'm kidding. I love my friends because they do. They keep me sane. They keep me on track. So, yeah, we've got this thing where I've been doing a couple of sessions. I did one Monday. I did one today. Today's was a little bit more comical. Um, it was called Alien, and it was based off the film Alien, but it's kind of comical cosmic horror. I wanted it to be something not so intense, but still give a good feeling for the nonsense that can happen in this game, which is completely accurate. Um, so it is just so hot in here, and I cannot turn on my fans. I'm gonna open a window a little bit, so if you hear traffic outside, I apologize. But it's got to happen. I'm sweating like three rats in a wool sock. Um, so yeah. Anyway, so we've been playing some adventures, and I've been trying to get more and more people involved with that. So if you're interested in the game, if you're a backer, if you're not a backer, stay tuned because I'm going to start announcing these games ahead of time. So all you have to do is be a member of my server. You don't have to be a backer really. So if you're a member of my server, you'll see us announcing and talking about Aether Blood stuff. All you have to do is join a chat and say, I'm here for a game, and I will run a game with you. Tomorrow we have such a game. One of my backers was like, hey, I can't make it today. And I was like, well, tell me when you're available and I will run one for you. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to make this game accessible to everybody, so you should take advantage of that. All right. Um, yeah, you guys were kidnapped a la Last Starfighter kind of thing. Um, it but then the idea was supposed to be this terrible horror-y monster that was an aether, and they just trounced it like it was like it was a baked potato, and just completely owned it. Um, oh, talking about playing a session, it's crazy and fun. Yeah, JS got to play today finally. We've been talking to him for a couple of days. He's been helping out with the Q&As and such. Awesome guy, awesome guy. I'm really glad to have him on board. I am, and he's here talking with us again tonight. So that's pretty epic. Um, I enjoy it when people get involved in these projects. I really do. So this is a call to you saying, hop in on a game, have fun with us, hop into a Q&A with us. Okay. If you have questions that aren't getting answered, you should be getting in touch with me and saying, hey, what about this? Or what about that? Or why does Marty McNuckenstein's shoes glow? Or whatever the case may be. Today we're actually going to be talking about the socks that Anguish wears. So go figure that. I have a green string on my blue lantern hat, which is very annoying to me. But I have a pair of scissors here. I'm going to take care of that right now. So we have about 9 minutes before the live stream officially starts. So what I am about to do after I snag this, come on, that barely took care of it. I'm gonna have to get a razor and shave it or something to get that taken care of. Anyway, so yeah, a little bit ADHD coming out in flavor. So what was I rambling about? I was saying something important, and then I got distracted by threads coming out of my hat. Seriously, guys.
Making announcements for future playtests.
Oh yeah, making announcements for future playtests. I say playtest because we're doing all these games on easy mode, which has not been tested very much. So they're kind of sort of quasi playtests, even though we know the mechanics work, but we're just testing the plug and play ability when it comes to the easy mode and the heroic mode, and the cosmic mode has been thoroughly play tested. It's the other two modes that we need help with, and you can get on that. You should get on that, and you should have fun with this while we continue to develop this project for everybody. Down to 7 minutes now, and I need to go ahead and see about sharing the streaming information. Not share screen, share. That's what I need. And it's super fun. Couple of hours. Do it. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think I can put this in to the streaming interface until it's done. Um, so that kind of stinks. I was hoping to do this earlier because I know. Oh, it's not even showing that there's a. Oh my gosh, I messed something up. PST, I did. So that's supposed to be 7. This is supposed to be 9. I messed up my times. So schedule stream. Let me see if it does it now. Update. Yes, now it is showing that we have a live stream available in 5 minutes. Now it is. I've been talking to you for all this time. Now it says it. That is just the question now is, will I ever get this right? Will I ever be able to just easily transition into streaming mode? Or is it always going to be a hard crash, stop, turn around, save the vehicle, save the kids, save the cheerleader, and then move forward? I don't know. I don't know.
We'll have you down pat before Gen Con.
Oh, okay. Chris is saying they'll have me down pat by Gen Con, which I am still planning on attending. I'm waiting back to hear from Monty Cook Games as far as what I will be running for them specifically. I've told them what I want to run. It's just a matter of them saying whether or not that those events are filled up or not. And then, regardless, I will also be running the Aether Blood Chronicles out there. I've got a Numenera session I might be running, might be running. It's still under approval process. And who knows? Maybe if I get bored, I'll run Fallout or G.I. Joe or something like that. Speaking of G.I. Joe, I do want to share this because I love talking gaming stuff. I recently started a Cobra Chronicles game where you are playing original members of the Society of Cobra Law who were recruited about 100 years ago and then heavily genetically manipulated and stuff. And you're going out into the world to build Cobra in the modern world. G.I. Joe does not exist. Cobra does not exist. Your whole purpose is to build Cobra in the modern world. We had a first session. What was that? Thursday. A lot of fun was had by all. I know Christopher was one of my players because Christopher's basically playing in everything that I'm running now, which is cool. You know, Christopher's good people. But the point is, I'm trying to do more gaming. Because gaming is one of the most relaxing things for me. Running these sessions, I never lose my mind with it. I might lose track because I'm doing so much right now, but it's never for very long. And I enjoy telling stories very much. I want to see people having fun at a table. And if I can help my friends have fun, that just means the world to me. So yeah, if you get the chance to sit down and have a game session with me, whether it's Aether Blood Chronicles or anything else, you know, I'd appreciate you jumping in. Just tell me where you heard this from, that you heard it from the live streams or whatever. So just let me know and I'll be like, hey, come on in. Yes, there is Battle for the Arctic Circle, powered by Axis and Allies. There's a whole bunch of interesting stuff coming out for G.I. Joe and Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition, which I am actually a fan of. Sorry, Rich Thomas and the rest of you who worked so hard on W20. I still like W20. I still like 2nd edition, for crying out loud. So I'm not saying anything bad about you at all, but I enjoy 5th edition as well. It's a G.I. Joe niacence, I guess is how you would say that. Yes, it is. It really is. I'm a huge G.I. Joe fan. The comics, the cartoons. I grudgingly watched the live action movies that came out a couple of years ago. I like to ignore the fact that Snake Eyes exists in a canon universe. But yeah, I do like the fact that GI Joe is maintaining an audience with the role playing game. I appreciate that greatly, and Renegade's treating it with respect. So that means a lot to me. We are down to the last minute before the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Crack open a soda with me, a beer, or whatever. Sit around. Let's drink responsibly and get crazy, if such a thing is possible. Um, let's start talking about some game stuff because in just a minute it's gonna be time to be live. Even though I've already been live for 15 minutes, I'm talking about the actual live stream for the Aether Blood Chronicles and the backer kit that I am running. And we are going to see here in just a moment as it rolls over to live status, and individuals can jump into chat with us any second now. I don't have a stopwatch or anything. It's not counting down. So if I start counting down arbitrarily, I will invariably miss my target. But yeah, so estimating somewhere around 20 seconds. Probably, I don't know. That's just my estimate. I'm just, flying by the seat of my pants here. Do we have about 15 seconds left? I don't know. We're about to find out. And would that be 10? Oh, no, I was off. I was off by an estimate there. So I'm going to refresh my page here to get it going. And look at that. Look at that title card. I'm going to use the same title card for every episode. How does that sound, guys? Every episode of Night of Lore is going to have this image, episode whatever it is, and feature the name of the character that we're doing the deep dive on. I think that's cool. Whether you think that it's cool or not, I don't care. That's what I'm going to do. Maybe I can get the streaming code now. I don't know. Can I hit this button without crashing everything? Yes, I can. Okay. Is this going to give me the information I need? Does not appear to be, but I am checking because I'm curious. I'm a curious sort of fellow. Not that kind of curious, but there's nothing wrong with being that kind of curious. Okay. Yeah, it's not there. I can't go through and do that. So yeah, it is officially time for us to talk about Anguish. But before we do that, how is everyone doing tonight? How's your day been? If you've been gaming, what have you been gaming? And has it been fun? How bad does your game master treat your characters? Because the worse your characters are being treated, the more fun it sounds like they're having. Hopefully you're having just as much fun. Like I said earlier, we got to play some Aether Blood Chronicles today. Tons of fun. I subjected a person brand new for their first time. They got to play a session, and we will see what it's like. What I want to do now is talk about what it is going to be like, and the fact that where are my notes? I have to get my notes in order, which now they're in order. Okay, so what I want to mention first is the kind of sort of play testing for Aether Blood Chronicles that we're doing right now. And basically what that is back during the convention in April here in Cheyenne, we play tested rules for 3 types of game difficulty levels: easy mode, heroic mode, and cosmic mode. Now, cosmic mode was what we originally play tested the game as. Okay. I ran, I think it was 4 sessions on easy mode, and then 2 or 3 sessions on heroic mode. and just kind of played around with it. Didn't tell anybody what was really going on. They just rolled the dice when I told them to. Easy mode seems like it's pretty much fixed. I like it a lot. And what it means is basically um, you basically bargain for bonuses on your rolls. And I kind of like that for an easy mode because it forces you to think in a very creative manner, which helps you get into heroic and cosmic levels a little bit easier. And I know this is just kind of, talking around it behind itself sort of deal. I'm not actually telling you what the rules are because I want you to experience this. So this is what I'm saying right now. Tomorrow at noon 30 or noon, it's either noon or noon 30. I can't remember, but show up at noon. We'll be pleasantly surprised. It is noon 30. Are you sure?
That's what you told me.
That's what I told you, but I can't remember if I told you correctly. Show up at noon just in case. Noon Mountain Standard Time or Daylight Time, whatever we're on right now. I can't remember. Noon Mountain Time. Show up on my server. All you have to do is be a member of my server. You don't have to be a backer for the game. Show up, play a session with us as we work through any of the kinks of the easy mode play style for the Aether Blood Chronicles. You're getting to play the game before I originally said anybody was going to be able to play the game, which is pretty freaking epic. So join us for that. Be a part of that. Come say hello. Let me know what you think of things. We can either build you a character or you can take one of the awesome pre-made characters that we have. It doesn't matter because they're going to be balanced in ways that you couldn't possibly believe, because that's just the way the game works. It seems like some powers are underpowered, and then you get into the game and you're like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And I want people to experience that. We had a third person in chat. I don't know if they vanished on me because they thought I was being weird or if they're still here, and whatever the situation is. If I have a third person in chat, please shout out. Let us know who you are. Let us welcome you here by using whatever handle you deem worthy for us internet folks. So yeah, hop on, talk to us, enjoy the Q&A and ask questions during the Q&A. Come aboard. We're expecting you, the Love Boat. I don't know. Maybe you can invite people to the Love Boat. I'm very comfortable where I am over here. So yeah, let's start. Let's go through this stuff. So I already talked about the playtest sessions like tomorrow, noonish on my server. It's happy. I can't talk straight. Haphazard Gaming. There is a link on the backer kit that is listed down below. And just so you know what our stats are, we have 24 backers. We are 21% at goal. And we are only 10 days in to this thing that we're calling the Aether Blood Chronicles. So that's what we're looking at. Also, next up, I want to tell you about the poster series. Now, this has made a couple of people really happy. But what we're going to do is we are going to set up posters, literally mat them, frame them, put them on the wall posters for a series of characters as soon as we hit 25 backers. Hopefully that'll be tonight. Okay. But as soon as we hit 25, that's what kicks off that reward. Here's the thing, though. They are not just going to be posters. What we're also doing is we're creating images that you can insert into the front of Hammerdog's greatest screen ever. This is a very versatile 4-panel GM screen that I adore. They should be paying me for all the free advertisement that I've been giving them up to this point. They really should. because I love Hammer Dog shields. They're very durable. They are you can write on them with dry erase or wet erase markers. Easily take track of initiative that way, and you slide in the information you need behind the screen, and you slide in the images you want on the front. And it's very simple to use, very easy to keep clean. They are amazing. I have one for Numenera, and now I have one for the Aetherblood Chronicles, and likely any other games that I have face to face will get one as well because they're just so useful. The ability to switch up your information that you need for each game session like that, instead of being stuck with a static GM screen that never changes, I find that very appealing because who knows if I need new information. I can put monster stats back there. It doesn't matter what information I put back there. And then the front information be changed each scene, showing different characters that are involved in each scene. Whatever. These things are amazing. And they're going to be officially supported by us. So the artwork that we put out, we will make sure fits into both landscape and portrait screens. So you can get what type of screen you want and still support this great company and these great people that put out this great product. So on to, that's me giving them their praises. On to the characters that I've selected for the posters and the art for these screens. Let's go through the list real quick. And feel free to ask me in the Q&A tonight, why on earth did I pick these characters? Some of them might seem a little odd. Some of them you're going to understand exactly why I picked. First up, the monotone. Of course, I'm going to put him in there. Second up, Anguish. Of course, I'm going to put him in there. Next is Miracle. After Miracle, Sick Pyros. After Sick Pyros, Verdant. And then after Verdant, Prime. After Prime, we have Horizon Fold. And then we have Negative Frank. And then we're going to have Pale. And most people are going, who's pale? Who's pale? I'm pale. No, I'm not really. I just have kind of whitish tint to my skin. And the final one, I am actually going to let people vote on tonight. Now, granted, right now we don't have many people in chat. So if you want to be heard, you want to put out your word as far as who else you'd like to see an image for, that's going to be how you do it. Okay? Right there. Put in your 2 cents during the final part of the Q&A. All right. With that, I've covered everything I need to. I'm going to slip back over here and watch the live stream so that I can see the questions that are coming in. We've got 3 people in here. We've got an additional person in here. Please feel free to say hello. Whether or not you do or not, welcome to the stream. I'm glad that you're here. I look forward to seeing any of your questions. So, Anguish is the character of the night. This is Lore of the Night, episode 2. I can't believe we've only been able to get to episode 2. It feels like I should be on episode 20. Jonah, hey, Jonah. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonah is one of the writers who has decided to join my team for this project. I am very excited to be working with him. He wrote a scenario for Call of Cthulhu that I will be running the next time I run that game. It is a very well put together scenario. So I cannot wait to see what he does with this game and what I've created and what we're going to create together. So yeah, thank you, Jonah, for being here. It's great to see you. It's great to have you here. Now we're going to push on and start talking about Anguish. All right. Now, Anguish, why the name? A lot of people ask. Okay. And I'm realizing something. With the monotone, I don't think I ever gave you his real name. That's okay, because there are reasons why you shouldn't know the name. Anguish is going to be similar to that. I don't think I'm going to give you his name because it's not important to his story. And I think that's an important distinction to live by during these Q&As. If it's pertinent information, it should be shared. So, Anguish gets his name because he loves to put his victims through the ringer. He loves to see them squirm, to torture them psychologically, not so much always physically. He kind of shies away from that physically, but the mental manipulations that he digs on people are hard and difficult to even watch. And normally he'll do it during a live cast with an audience standing around him, and he'll say, "I'm going to be at such and such address, and someone will be tortured," and he will focus in on one person that happens to show up, and they will never be the same afterwards. So he earned his name very well. Physical description. He's about 5'10", 5'11", kind of scraggly. What would you say? Strawberry blonde hair. Kind of possibly Scots Irish, but nobody really knows. And he's heavy. Let's just call things the way they are. He's fat. Okay, he is out of shape. He doesn't look like anything special. He is fat, and that's no offense to fat people out there. It's a word, okay, and that's the best word to describe his physicality. Um, what did he do before he got his powers? Um, he was actually working, and we've got a siren going by, so let me close my window for a moment. Oh, it's already passed. Never mind. I was too slow on that. Apologies. He actually worked in an IT department for a fairly big company. I don't want to mention them right now, but in game you can find out. It's kind of a running gag in game. And with the adventures that I'm writing for the first stretch goal, it will become very obvious. So he works for this company. He works in the IT department, and he's so bored. He's so bored. He is of the mindset that things should be easier for him, that life just hasn't given him his fair shake. So one day while he's at work, bored out of his mind, probably creating a large ball out of rubber bands that he's stolen just to do so, he hears the omnipresent voice of, "Would you like the power to escape the maddening doldrum of your days?" And of course, his answer is yes. Now, next on here, I'm going to skip the next question and go on to another one because I think it makes more sense. That is, before that point, he was living in a trailer with his family, with his mom and dad. He was an adult. He was somewhere in his early 20s. Mom and dad were the epitome of trailer trash losers. They were at a point to where they struggled by barely feeding their addictions, barely surviving to feed their addictions, and Anguish was ignored for the most part. He comes home from work with his powers, understanding completely how they work. And he grabs a shotgun and he cocks the shotgun. And to get their attention, he shoots the shotgun and amplifies the sound of that shotgun to such an extreme. Nearly everyone in that trailer park that he lived in went scanners and their heads exploded. Um, Not everybody did, though. And when he was going around trailer from trailer, I gave a partial answer to this a little while back. This is the complete story. He went trailer to trailer looking for stuff that he assumed, oh, well, people are dead, so I'm just going to claim it for my own. And he found a young woman who husband had died, child had died because of this intense noise that Anguish created. And she started beating on him. And of course, Anguish, being who he is, pushes her away and basically says, if you want to join them, you can. And he pulls the trigger on the shotgun, and this time he doesn't amplify the sound. She dies instantly. And he proceeds to rack and rave and raid the trailer park. He manages to escape as the police department pull up to grab him because his Agnati somewhere is out there watching and decides that he doesn't want Anguish to be caught. And so he teleports Anguish away and puts him into another environment where Anguish sees his anguish. He sees that people have everything that he wants. He sees that they have everything that he needs. And so what does he do? The same thing he always does. He picks out one person and makes their life a living hell. He does this mostly by the concentration of sound waves and sensory overload. What are his powers? Well, I just mentioned his two main ones. And he has such precision control over them. He could save lives. But of course, that's not how he chooses to use his powers, is it? And I am way off mark on my page. So I am going to Control F and Anguish. And if somebody can give me a page number, that would probably be quicker. Because Anguish is mentioned so many times. If somebody in chat can, oh gosh, that did not come back with anything. If somebody's in chat can whisper it in my ear, that would be fantastic. Because 176. Thank you so much, Chris. 176. I am about 60 pages away. All right. I'm almost there. And we'll go down his powers list. First of all, his arcana are unique. He has access to the power of invulnerability, but it's conditional. His Agnati is basically teasing him, waving a little stake in front of him, going, you want this? You want this? You're going to keep doing what you're doing. And eventually, if you do a good enough job, I'll give you this. And that power that he's dangling in front of him is invulnerability. He has the arcana of stamina, which is superhuman stamina, of course, and the ability to open portals to any location he's ever seen. His attentions are control sound and control senses, as I said, but the fine tuning he can do with his control of sound is frightening. You could stand next to a jet as it's taking off and have conversation with someone right there. and then he could walk away, and instantly you have tremendous problems because all of a sudden the roaring is affecting you again. Um, to a creative game master or composer, as they're called in this game system, to a creative composer, this character is the epitome of dangerous. And he's mostly dangerous because he experiments with his powers. He tries to see how he can make things different and unique from person to person that he decides to torture. His methods are actually quite a few. He has biologistics, so he never needs to eat, sleep, drink water, or anything like that. He can just exist. He also has the ability to create force fields that is separate from his ability to control sound. Because using sound, you could very much create a force field, a barrier, a physical barrier where sound is just impenetrable. But yet he has another source of these force fields. No one really knows why. He doesn't even understand why. All he knows is those force fields are incredibly potent, incredibly powerful, almost more so than the force fields he can create with his sound powers. He can also teleport. So he can teleport a number of miles away, just by thinking he doesn't want to be in a location. And then once he's safe away, he can portal to anywhere he's ever seen before. He has armored skin, much like Colossus or Emma Stone. Wait, not Emma Stone. I'm getting names mixed up. Emma Frost. Emma Frost. Forgive me for that, Emily. If you happen to watch this, I am so sorry. Um, or the Thing with the Rock hide-like armor. Any other number of characters that have like an armored skin ability. He also has improved durability, so he heals about as fast as Spider-Man. And then he has a strange ability allowing him to control extra-dimensional space and store things in it, like his shotgun collection and his numerous collection of shotgun shells that are fitted for specific tasks. Everything from birdshot to solid slug, and some very unique things that come into existence in the future years of this game setting. So those are his powers. That's why he can do the things he can do. With the control of sound, he can also fly, but not very well. And as he likes to say it, his words, not mine. Why should a fat guy be flying in the sky anyway? So, oh, we have somebody else in chat. That is amazing. Awesome. Welcome. Welcome to the discussion of Anguish. You've missed a little bit, but you know what? There's going to be a chance for you to join in with us. Oh, wait, no, you're not in the live stream yet. You're in the server. That's awesome. That means I need to check the server for a reason. Let me see here. No. Okay. We're still 24 backers. Dadgummit. But that's fine. That's fine. We'll get there. So anyway, why can't Anguish fight? He has no strength behind him whatsoever. He's not very tough. He's got some toughness to him. One of his powers allows him to increase his toughness. But he doesn't have any agility. He doesn't have any reflex. He has no combat training whatsoever. He's passingly good with shotguns. That's about it. If it comes to a punching fight, punching, kicking, biting, stuff like that, he's going to lose. If he has the chance to use his powers, you're going to lose. Why can't he fight? This is a little known secret. So secret number one for Anguish. When he made his covenant The Agnati specifically told him he did not want him to learn how to fight. He wanted him to rely on his powers. Now, this was not made as covenant. This was an expectation. And at first, you know, Anguish is sitting there thinking, he's going to give me phenomenal cosmic powers. Who says I'm going to need how to throw a punch? He quickly learned when the monotone negated his powers the first time he was arrested. Anguish went down like a sack of potatoes. So, however, it was funny because he was not caught, because the entire time his Agnati, Anguish's Agnati, teleports him away to make sure that the chaos continues. Why does he appear so weak? Even though he looks like a big man who could do some damage. Why does his character sheet, we're talking about his character sheet now, why does his character sheet look so ineffective? Secret number 2. He lets his Agnati do all the heavy lifting. He expects a certain level of easiness in his life. So he's never bothered to really hone his powers. He's never really bothered to do anything like that. He accepts his powers as they were given to him. He has fine control over them, yes. He's never worked to develop them to perfection, though. When his Agnati is quite happy to go, ooh, let me teleport you to a bunch of new people to torture. Ooh, someone just caught you. You're in the back of a police SWAT vehicle. I'm going to release your bonds and teleport you to a different city. Because that's what the Agnati wants. The Agnati wants to be having all the fun. So he pretends to let Anguish seem like he's having the fun when it is the Agnati itself, which is just using Anguish as a toy. Thus, Anguish is something of a tragic character. He is nothing more than a toy for an old one. Does he have any good in him whatsoever? This is kind of giving away some plotline information, but yes, he does have good. And that is solely in the fact of he doesn't want to kill people. He doesn't want to inflict physical harm. He wants to make sure he has people to lord over from now until the end of his days. So if suddenly people start dying, he loses his ability to lord over them. That upsets him. He's losing his toys at that point. So in the future, there are things that happen that motivate him to work with the good guys, so to speak. And when he does that, it changes his character not one bit. He goes right back to his selfish ways every single time. What kind of socks does he wear and why? He wears a pair of socks that he has had for a fair number of years. With his first IT check, he spent money for a subscription to one of those superhero surprise boxes that are so popular. That was with his first check. He was like, I'm getting a subscription to this because The Flash was his favorite character. DC plug, I know. I'm wearing nothing but DC stuff. Go figure who my favorite team is. But anyway, he was a fan of The Flash. Now, when he got his power and stopped working, he didn't lose his job. He just stopped going to work. He lost the subscription. But in that first box, he got a set of fitted Flash socks. So he wears those every day. He washes them every day. As long as it's possible, he will stop and make time to wash his socks. And then he will put them on when they are clean and wear them for another day. He loves those socks. They are his most precious thing that he has ever owned in his entire life. The one example of I almost made something of myself and actually earned that one thing that I wanted. But yet I botched it. This is my one remembrance of me being a decent person, a contributing member to society. So I have these socks now, and that's all I have to show for it, which also makes him bitter and feeds into his perpetual cycle of loneliness and aggravation. And let's get all of this out and take all of this out on innocent people. So that's why his socks are important. The next question that I have on here is he the opposite of the monotone, since he is the first supervillain in the game setting? The answer is no. No. He's just a different type of person than the monotone. The monotone, if anything, would be labeled as an anti-hero. Whereas Anguish is a villain. A very, very villainous individual who lives in that column for the rest of his existence. He doesn't want to watch the world burn. He's just something of an anarchist who wants to exist in his own way. Next question. Is the Agnati good, evil? Can it be bargained with? Here's the thing about Agnati. This is a question that can be answered for every Aether in existence. All Agnati don't care. I mean, it's the same across the board. None of them care a rip about humanity. They don't understand humidity. Humidity. I need more caffeine. They don't understand humanity. Okay? They don't understand language. They don't understand math. They don't understand any of it. All they know is they need humans. So as long as humans keep accepting the cosmic powers, then the Agnati will continue to be something that must be dealt with around Earth. Next question. Does he work alone? Does he have sidekicks? Who is he close to? And the answer to this is no one. There is no one that he works with. He doesn't like working with anyone because they steal his limelight. He wants to be the center of attention. So he does not work with anyone. Now, during the Vosges Wars, which you can read a little bit about that later on in the backer kit, I'm proposing a whole nother book for just the Vosges Wars. The Vosges Wars are basically an alien invasion that happens 6 years in duration. It's a massive fight. He fights back during the Vosges Wars. He fights alongside Monotone and the other heroes that are trying to save the world because he wants the world to still be his plaything. And once the wars are over, he walks separate ways with everybody else, and they pull you've got a 5-minute head start on us type of deal. The famous Justice League quote. We'll give you a 5-minute head start. And he vanishes and continues on the way he had been throughout the rest of his plot line. He has no sidekicks. He has no proteges. He has no friends. However, he does have a support system. He's Catholic. And the Catholic Church never turns him away. He will occasionally go in and admit to his sins and ask for forgiveness. He goes extreme durations between his confessions. He doesn't pay it lip service. Every now and then he's reminded that there are bigger things out there. He knows this because of the Agnati. but he knows the Agnati had to have come from somewhere too. So he acknowledges his faith in God. He just has a distorted viewpoint on it all. So he is very much still a Catholic, and he will go about and do things that are important to the faith for him. He does carry a rosary with him. It's basically one of his many bracelets that he wears around his right wrist. But he doesn't show people that side of him because he views that as a weakness instead of the strength that it could be. Next, let me keep an eye on time here. So we're 40 minutes in. Next is, what do his actions reflect upon his Agnati? Well, it's not like that. The Agnati uses him as a toy, and we've already discussed that. So his individual actions don't reflect upon anybody other than himself, and the fact that he lets a higher power treat him like a toy, like an action figure. That's all he is at the end of the day. He is someone's action figure. And then there is a what I would like to call a insider question to kind of bring this to a close. Is he responsible for the cult trying to destroy Shadium, or is his Agnati trying to destroy Shadium? Shadium is another game that I've written. Christopher was a playtester for it, or a playtester for the newest version of rules for it. This version of rules, the DPS system. So the question came from him. The answer is no. He's not involved with Shadium whatsoever. He dies before the plot line turns to the Shadium game. How he dies, I'm going to leave that as a surprise. That's it for the questions that we had as assembled beforehand. Anguish is a tragic figure. He is treated as the absolute worst a human being could be. He does terrible things. Quite frankly, he doesn't deserve time that he gets on media and in publications and so on and so forth. He didn't deserve the movie that was made about him, certainly. But still, everyone loves a good villain. And he seems to fill that role. So I'm going to turn this over to our viewers for questions about, for right now, let's stick with questions about Anguish. It's kind of, I know it's kind of a bummer compared to the monotone and definitely some of the other characters that we're going to have to talk about, but he needs to be talked about because he needs to be understood so he can be utilized properly during game sessions. Okay? He's a sad figure. He's a tragic figure. Use him appropriately. He can be a very powerful figure. And he can bring much, much, much in the ways of interesting story if you let him. All right, so who wants to open us up with questions? First question that pops up is the first one we'll take. Open us up. Give us a great question to start this off. Who's going to do it? Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention this one. Yes, I forgot to mention this one. Where did this one go in my questions? Yes. Okay. So Christopher asked, what is a rogue Agnati? How is that important? How does it relate to the other Agnati? First of all, Christopher was looking over the character sheet earlier, trying to come up with questions and stuff. And he asked this question of me, and I was like, "That's a great question. We should talk about it during the Q&A." I wrote it down and somehow forgot where it was. I don't see it in my list of questions anymore. So maybe I wrote it down on a different piece of paper. I don't know, but it's gone. Now it's reinvigorated. We're going to talk about it. All right. A rogue Agnati. The Agnati have a plan. They have a purpose for everything that they do. Humanity just does not understand that yet. A rogue Agnati is one that doesn't stick to the plan, doesn't like the plan, doesn't want to be a part of the plan, and gives individuals superpowers for completely different reasons. Obviously, in this case, to make a plaything out of a human. How does it refer to, or how does it relate to the other Agnati? It doesn't. Because the other Agnati don't care. It's one person. They don't yet understand why humans are so important to things. So why should they care? So hopefully that answers your question, Christopher. It's an important mechanical distinction because other Agnati, as they bump into you, may have ideas in their head formed by their aethers, and therefore will support their aethers in reacting in those ways. So all of a sudden, for a rogue Agnati, the monotone is coming after them, for a prime example. That's a dangerous thing because, as we discussed, the monotone has killed Agnati. He's the only human to have ever done so. So, being a rogue Agnati is very, very dangerous in and of itself, because they don't have the network of others to kind of bounce off of. So, and I know I've kind of layered this answer a couple of times, but that's generally what it means. There could be some other interpretations that composers want to put into their games that is complete optional for them. So good question. Glad you started us off with that one. Moving on. Chris asks again, they can't beg a favor from another Agnati or Aether. That's not true. That is not true. Because some some Aethers have the ability to talk to Agnati that are not their own. It is very, very rare. It boils down to a merit you have to take during character creation. So if you take that merit, then yeah, your character can talk to different Agnati other than your own. But yeah, you can ask other Agnati for favors. They typically won't pay you any attention unless you are of a certain sort of Aether. Monotone gets listened to out of respect and fear. So, Jonna is asking his first question. You mentioned that Anguish has faced the monotone before. Do they have a beef? Is the monotone a rival for Anguish? They have a beef because the monotone has a problem with how Anguish deals with the world. Any decent human being would have a problem with Anguish, but the monotone can't do too much about it because Anguish does not break his covenant, and the monotone can only kill individuals who break their covenants. That's what his covenant is, to do that. So if you don't break your covenant, he's not supposed to so much as get involved. So they're not rivals by any stretch of the imagination, but they have fought on occasion simply because Monotone is a better person than Anguish, and Monotone doesn't like seeing people tortured. Now, Monotone does have a rival, and that is a kaiju known as Ruin. And we talked about that in the first Night of Lore video. So if you're curious about that story, go back and watch that. JS, so glad you could join us again tonight, JS. Has any Aether developed the ability to control their Agnati instead of the normal Agnati controlling the Aether? The Agnati does not control the Aether. They cannot make an Aether do what they want them to do. However, they can act on their behalf sometimes, like Anguish's Agnati having the ability to teleport them around. You know, it's usually done as a safety mechanism or to help Anguish, or not Anguish. Yeah, Anguish. Yeah. Sorry, there are too many A's in this conversation. The Agnati usually teleports Anguish around so that he can fulfill his own covenant. No Aether has ever developed the ability to control their Agnati. Okay, influence rather than control. Yes, and that's the monotone. Because the monotone is able to get away with breaking his own covenant. Because his Agnati knows that it's a hard job. He understands humanity to an extent. And that Agnati will sit back and say, he's doing his best. He's doing what I ask him to do. He's deciding that some people are worth saving. So he's not just killing them all out of hand. So in that light, the monotone has some influence over his Agnati. Definitely never control, though. Sounds like a good plot hook for a composer to draw some inspiration from. Completely non-canon story, but yeah, there's potential there for a great one. Anything else? Well, I mean, we've still got almost an hour, so we've got an hour left in the live stream. We've got about another 30 minutes for questions based off of Anguish before we move on to other stuff. So, any other questions? Anything at all? You were thinking it could be a storyline where influence led to the Agnati becoming a rogue. That would be epic. I love that idea. That would definitely be a non-canon story, but there's no reasoning behind it that prohibits it from being something that happens in a different universe, in a somewhere out there in the multiverse. So that is an outstanding idea. I would love to see that happen as just like an Elseworlds sort of thing. Again, DC references, I apologize. Or for a more Marvel concept, what if? Sort of idea. But yeah, so that's actually a really good idea. You should run that story. You get a little bit more comfortable with the game, you should run that story. And I would play in that story. I would have a lot of fun with that. Okay, Christopher has another question. And he doesn't work with anyone. Are there organizations that fanboy Anguish, be they good or be they government or Terry's? Is that what you meant to say, Terry's? I think I know what you mean. Terrorists. Yeah, of course. That's I'm trying to think. I don't think that there's anyone out there that fanboys him. There are certainly organizations that have tried to capture him before and experiment or experiment upon him based on his powers. In fact, some of that led to a very interesting bit of information on the character known as Xenifer, who is in Japan, a Japanese Aether, which that's a very interesting story, but that will have to wait until her episode. There's kind of a crossover between the two, and neither one of them realize it. Similar question, Jonah mentions. Does Anguish have a relationship with any other notable Aether? Surely not any allies. No. No. Anguish likes to be left alone. The only time he's not really alone is when he's fighting someone or he goes to confession. He's very much a creature of habit. And his habit does not bring other people into his orbit very frequently. Like I said, it's a very sad tale, very tragic tale. So I wish I could say, yeah, he has a best friend, but that's just not the case. He doesn't even have anybody with a working relationship. Like, you would think somebody like Negative Frank would get along with this guy, right? Negative Frank hates Anguish. Hates him completely. And because Negative Frank is a villain, but he's a thief. He's a very good thief at that. Negative Frank, I can't wait for that episode to be told. Negative Frank is awesome. And that's the only character I could imagine having any love for Anguish, and it's just simply not there. No one wants to have a relationship with this guy. He's just too awful. I mean, I hope you guys understand. I mean, if you run a session, or excuse me, if I run a session in which Anguish is the villain, you will see terrible, horrible things happen. However, I am not going to broadcast that during a live stream. So I am not going to talk about the very, very bad things that Anguish can do. But you get me in a game session where he's involved, it's not going to be pretty. It's not. Wow, that got quiet. I need other questions. That got dark. That got too heavy. I apologize for that, by the way, viewers at home. Yeah, don't. Like I said, this is not a video for kids. Next question, please. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. So Jonah brings up a very interesting point that has never been brought up in any of my playtests ever. Talk about his anthem. His character sheet says he always hears Metallica in his head. Yes, that is his strangeness. The fact is, no matter what, no matter how loud he makes things, no matter how silent he hears things, he's constantly hearing Metallica in his head. Maybe just the music, maybe just some lyrics, maybe a full production song, maybe a song done by Metallica that doesn't actually exist. But he always hears that in his mind. He can't get rid of it. Now, that is not his anthem. Anthems are subsonic frequencies that surround the area near an aether. and have some sort of residual effect on that environment. One is known as, well, actually, I need an example. So I'm going to turn to the book real quick for an example. Anthems. I know it only is mentioned a couple of times in the book. So Control F, anthems. Okay, anthems. We can find this on page 99. Anthems and discords. Anthems are things like having an angry anthem means that there are these, non-audible sound distinctions is how I phrase it, that kind of manifest in an emotional transferent kind of way. One of these is anthem ambience. Too many A's today. I apologize. Anthem ambience, during which something like flames get bigger, sound gets louder, cars backfire. I'm kidding. Backfired again. All right. Similar little things to things like that. Something will happen, and it will affect something visual or audio based in the immediate area. Lights get duller is another one. Another one could be anyone that feels the anthem becomes filled with hate for a slight duration of time, or they feel joyful and joyous. It may prompt heroic actions. These are anthems. They are unique to every aether. So that's an anthem. And they're very simple rules that can be found on that page. There's nothing that's too complicated or anything like that. And it's one of those optional rules as well. If you don't want to play with it, you don't have to. Next question. Excuse me. We have another question, please. Keeping an eye on time, we still have plenty of time for questions. Can I explain a little bit more about fate traits? Okay. I don't really know how else I can explain more. But fate traits aren't really anything about Anguish. We're trying to keep the Q&A on Anguish for right now. When we open it up for the open Q&A where we can discuss anything, that'll be the first question I answer, okay? Let's get through the Anguish portion of the Q&A, please. Sorry about that, Chris. Man, we had a lot more questions about monotone. We really did. Is monotone just more interesting? I can't even get an answer on that. May have got a bit dark. Yeah. Looking for more to ask about. I readily admit that. But Anguish is a very dark character. I tell you what. Let's get off the darkness. Okay. Let's let some light in. Okay. we're going to switch from Anguish Q&A to open Q&A. Ask me anything you want to about the game now. We will start off with the question that you asked a little bit more and explain a little bit more about fate traits. Fate traits. Okay. Fate traits are four items on the character sheet that must be activated to cause their benefit. And they are as follows. They are aggression, vigor, education, and adaptation. Aggression is literally exactly. Wait a second here. JS is saying he's got to head out. Catch you. Okay, JS, take care. Sorry if it got too dark for you. I apologize, but I'm glad you had fun with the game today. We will talk to you again soon, good sir. Enjoy your weekend if I don't talk to you this weekend, okay? Have fun. So aggression, once activated, you can add your aggression to damage rolls. Vigor, once activated, you can subtract vigor from the damage you take. Once activated, you can add your education to a single die roll, a single test, as it were. And then adaptation is used if you've already rolled and failed a die roll, or you just need to kick it up to the next tier result. You activate adaptation, and then you can use those points to ensure success at the level you want. That's getting into a couple of different layers of mechanics. I understand that. We can talk about that too if people want to. I need a palate cleanser. I think I do. I need one as well after talking about Anguish. So let's get away from him. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what else I can explain about the fate traits without getting into a discussion of other mechanics. So if you have an exact question, or I should say specific question, Chris, please ask. I feel like I've answered that question already, though, which I don't mind answering again. You know, Jonah, I know you've taken time to read the rule book. I don't know how far into it you are, but you last mentioned you said you were pretty far into it. It seemed. Do you have any questions whatsoever from any of your reading? Because it's open Q&A. I mean, you could help people really come to understand the game and hopefully bring them closer to a time when they're like, yeah, I want to back this. Yeah, of course you can think. Yeah. While you're thinking, I'm going to have a quick snack. Okay. Chris is asking a very good question here. All right. Chris asks about costume enhancements. Is it tech or part of the Agnati and their granted powers, or is it both? And it's two separate things. And I want you to think about this in terms of comic books as well. Okay? Most costumes are things that the hero creates for themselves to wear. Sometimes it enhances the traits of their powers. That is the merit, the normal merit costume. Okay. Rated 1 to 6. You can have between 1 and 6 enhancements on a costume to help out your character. But then there is a growth, not a growth. Is it a growth? No, it's an Agnati merit. And benefit from your Agnati specifically that gives you a costume. That, for every point you put into it, you get 2 enhancements. That would be like, it's the difference between Superman wearing a costume that was made from his baby blanket, which is the origin of his costume, and Spawn's costume, which was given to him as a lieutenant of hell. It was more of a uniform type thing. And the enhancements that each one provides are unique, but some of them are granted by the Agnati, and some of them are just granted because of the material that was used. Okay. For example, Captain America's costume, that is definitely just a regular costume. I'm trying to think. Okay, Darkhawk. Even though not a lot of people know about Darkhawk, Darkhawk's costume would definitely be another granted costume through the Agnati. There are a couple of merits that I could throw on top of Darkhawk's armor. So yeah, like I said, they're two different things. Excuse me, but the mechanics work identically. Or like Witchblade. Yes, Witchblade would also be an example of an agnotic costume, something granted by the Agnati. Absolutely. Can't believe I forgot about Witchblade. That's one of the most obvious answers to what is an Agnati costume. Meanwhile, I'm waiting for somebody to stump me with a question. I don't see it happening, but you never know. Like legitimately come up with a question that I don't know the answer to. Important parts of play, question, urges, and goals. I know we haven't touched it in the one shots. Urges and goals. Okay, yeah. These are some of my favorite aspects of my game mechanics for the DPS system. Urges and goals are one of the primary ways you earn experience, okay, for an ongoing chronicle. Urges are short-term goals. We'll get to what Jonah is saying here in just a second here. But urges are short-term goals. I'd like to have a good cheeseburger. I want to go on a date. I want to go see a new movie. I want to read a good book. I want to paint my house. Things that can be done in a very short amount of time and can be celebrated. Okay? Enjoyed. These are urges. And then you have goals. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to develop a new power. I want to learn a new martial art form. I'd like to learn a new language, et cetera, et cetera. And or it could be, I want to move into a new house. So the goals and urges can literally be anything that makes sense for your character. They both are ways to earn experience. You get more experience for a goal than an urge. But as you accomplish these things during the game, you get tick marks, or as you move towards them, I should say, you get tick marks. When you accomplish them, you earn the full measure of experience points, and you can either reset it or keep it and try to do it again. Like, I want to eat a good cheeseburger. You know, a goal would be finding the perfect key lime pie. But your urge could be eat key lime pie, and you suddenly have a character that's obsessed with key lime pie, and that's how you earn XP. Interesting, but that you play your character the way you want to. Um, Literally, I just wanted to get away from combat equals XP. So that was one of the ways I came up with a direct answer to correlate and get us away from that type of gameplay. So Jonah had said, haven't seen any of the previous streams yet, so apologies if I asked something you've already answered before. No worries. No worries. How important is it for an Aether to keep their identity secret? Seems like not a lot of them do. Actually, a lot of them do. um, it depends on what point of the story, where you're looking on the timeline. But generally speaking, Aethers want to live their own life. Most Aethers get powers to help their everyday life. Like a mother swamped by, having 10 foster kids. It happens, right? That mom suddenly becomes an Agnati or becomes an Aether. Ooh, buddy, cannot become an Agnati. You cannot do that. X that out of your mind right now. The mom becomes an Aether and gets the power of multiplicity. Suddenly, that mom can be in 10 different places at the same time. Don't all mothers wish they had that power? Well, that's an example of a power use where mom just wants to live her own quiet life, where at least one of her copies can relax all the time. Another good example would be, someone in finances manifests the ability to do math better. Doesn't sound like much of a superpower, but it can help you out on so many levels. You start mastering new languages, you can break code, stuff like that. Yeah, it is one of the pre-built characters. So yeah, it's one of those situations where maybe he wants to keep a lid on it, because if people find out that he has those powers, he's going to get fired. Breach of what's it called? Ethics. Yeah. So maybe they do want to keep it quiet. Some people don't care, like Anguish. But like, if everyone knew who Monotone was, that would make his job infinitely more difficult. There are tons of heroes that do maintain a secret identity. There are tons of villains that maintain a secret identity, but it's all about the character. It's all about how would it help serve them, if at all. So that's the way it has to be looked at. It's not at how important is it generally. It does become that later on down the timeline when American governments, or not American, worldwide governments are trying to crack down on Aether populations. Then it becomes very important to have a secret identity. But until then, and that's a progress step. That's a good long time into the timeline. Until then, people could just flaunt the fact that they have powers. You know, TikTok videos. Hi, I'm Bill and I'm an Aether. And suddenly Bill is transforming his car into a 30-foot tall robot by the use of his powers because he can control machines. You know, that type of stuff can happen. Yeah, so secret identities just play off in various different ways. And it's completely up to you to how it matters to your character. And I think I've said that now 3 different ways. I'm crashing hard quick. We might need to close this up here soon. We'll see how I feel after my next soda. So yeah, any other questions? And remember, if you happen to be watching the stream, you can pop in with questions about anything. Okay, it does not have to be Anguish. We are in open Q&A mode. So identities range from I am Iron Man to Clark and Superman. Yes, absolutely, because that's the way it's happened throughout history in comic books. So it would only be appropriate for a comic book based role playing game to function the same way. You know, even though this has a cosmic horror bent to it, it still is comic book based. Mm-hmm. 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 All right. I personally love Chris's question, even though he already knows the answer to this. So during a full play test, like an actual campaign that I ran for the play testing of this game, somebody came up to me and said, I want to have my character break the 4th wall. And I laughed at them to their face and I was like, what function could that possibly serve during a role playing game? And then I thought about it for a second and I stopped laughing. And I was like, you know what? That's actually a pretty cool idea. So, yes, you can break the 4th wall. It is a merit you can get in the game during character creation that says when you earn certainty, you may say something that breaks the 4th wall to those that may be watching the stream of the video or to whoever you say it, whatever audience you deem is breaking the 4th wall for. And when you do that, all of your allies earn experience points. I think it is hilarious. I love the use of it. It's not overpowered. And it's something that needs to be addressed in the world of comic books because I can think of 3 characters right off the top of my head that break the 4th wall. You know, one of them doesn't do it all the time, but he has been known to do it before. Of course, I'm talking about Deadpool, She-Hulk, and Lobo. Lobo, I don't think does that anymore, but used to at one time, if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, breaking the fourth wall is something you can do, and it's beneficial to others. I don't get that reference. Sorry. Oh, Bugs Bunny. You just said Mr. Bugs. I was like, what? What? Of course, yeah, Bugs Bunny. Biggest, origin point of that, the ability to break the fourth wall. Yeah, of course. You can tell I'm getting tired when I miss a Looney Tunes reference. Um, so we got a couple more minutes. I'm going to allow for a couple more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up early because I am getting tired and I do have stuff to do very early in the morning, and I do have an Aether Blood game to run as well. So round us out here with two questions. Let's see if we can get up two questions. Try and make them original, of course. Jonah, whatever you can think of that you need answered. Um, but I'm trying to keep Chris from asking the same questions over and over again because he's been involved with every live stream that we've done so far. No, I think he's missed one. Yeah, pretty much. Mechanical question. Okay. Could I explain how experience debt works? Experience debt. All right. I like this. All right. So this originated. I can't even talk right. English hard. This originated back in my days of playing City of Heroes. And so characters didn't die; they just got knocked out and lost XP by way of experience debt. And I was like, this is an interesting concept from a design standpoint. I like this. So when I started developing uh, Shadium, which was the first DPS game that I did start to create, I was like, well, let's see if I can incorporate the idea. And basically, I said, okay, there's this thing called insight, right? Let's attach it to that. To where now, basically, your insight trait is your attribute trait that best defines your character's concept and encapsulates everything and distills down your character's concept to one of 8 traits. Oh, you're both typing that up. Okay. So that's insight. So what the experience debt allows you to do is take extra expertise equal to double your insight trait. For example, if your insight trait is your willpower and you have a willpower of 6, that means you can go to experience debt of 12 points. Whatever level you take in experience debt, that becomes expertise that you can spend right then and there to advance your character. Right there on the spot. You can do this during character creation. You can do this in the middle of battle. Does not matter. You can take experience debt whenever you do not have experience debt on your sheet. And what it means is anytime you earn expertise for your character sheet, half of that has to go towards paying off the debt. So if you get 4 expertise, 2 points has to go to paying off your debt. The other 2 points remain there active for you to advance your character however you see fit. So I think I explained that well enough. If I did not, um, give me another cue to bounce off of. But it's literally just you need XP, you take a negative value, you pay back that value. So it's basically like an advance. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. So one more question, please. Milestones. Oh, I love milestones. Nothing like milestones from D&D. Monstones. What constitutes the number of games, story ending, plot points ending? I don't get this. You're going to need to reword this a little bit. Or just 6 panels of the page done. What? I don't get this. I apologize, Chris, but I do not understand your exact question. What constitutes a milestone? A storyline completion, a plot ending, or just 6 panels on a comic book page? Okay. I get what you're saying now. All right. Apologies for that miscommunication on my part. All right. So a milestone is a event in game sessions. That basically too much beer. Is that your excuse? Man. All right. Anyway, I'm going to stop teasing you right there. Milestones occur at momentous times. Like, let's say your character's trying to design a new suit of armor for themselves. You set that as a milestone. You basically are like, when I hit that, when I get to that point, I've achieved a milestone. Storytellers can, or not storytellers, composers can set forth milestones as well and say, if they reach this point in the story arc, this is a milestone. So declaration of a milestone can vary. It can be multiple things. It's not a set time. It can always vary, and it can be set by various people. When you hit a milestone, several things happen. The first thing that happens is you can roll to reduce your doubt. You roll a d10 and you divide it by 10. So if you roll a 5 on a d10, 0.5, you can reduce your doubt by 0.5. It's not a lot, but it helps mitigate doubt. Also, during milestones, sometimes you can roll to see if certain powers or certain merits or flaws trigger. Okay. So that's something you would have to check for individual characters. But that's basically how milestones work. They are triggers and responses. Okay. They respond to something happening and it triggers something happening in response to that. And the best example I can think of would be like Tony Stark being without armor and finally managing to cobble a suit of armor together. That would be a milestone, you know, or a milestone could be Luke Skywalker running around in the desert and finally bumping into his original X-Wing that's been lost for ages. And him having fond memories of it, and that could be a milestone, and that could trigger a bunch of stuff as well. There are plenty of examples of milestones in literature and video games and comic books, just too many to mention. A really good example of milestone would be Batman meeting one of the Robins for the first time. That's a good milestone. So those are our two questions, which literally get me over the mark of where I wanted to be. I wanted it to be 9:30. It is 9:33. So if there is nothing else, I will give the honor to Jonah since this is his first live stream. If you have anything else, bring it up now. Of course, you and I can talk about this later. You being on the writer staff and whatnot. But if you have something else right now, we'll discuss it, and then we're going to bring this to a close. So just a yay or nay. Give us just a yay or nay. You're good for now. Okay. You are very welcome for the Q&A. Absolutely, everyone out there who watches this, you are welcome for the Q&A. I hope we enjoyed. We gave you something to enjoy. I hope we didn't down the evening too much for you because of the bleakness of this character we were set to discuss. So a couple of things need to happen now. I need to remind you, tomorrow, noon MST, there is going to be a chance for you to play this game. So you have a chance to come in. All you have to do is be a member of the server for Haphazard Gaming, which you can get. You can get a link to join through the backer kit that is running right now live concurrently with all these live streams that I'm doing. Sign up for the link. You can automatically join, and then you can go in and say, what's all this about? I want to play the game. You don't have to pay for anything. You just show up and you play the game. All right. However, we will be using pre-made characters tomorrow. All right, just to get that out there. So everyone is invited to that. Okay. If I have 50 billion people show up, I'll be just as happy as if I get 5. So there's that. Secondly, I want to mention this, since this is the end of the stream, we are still at 24 backers. Okay. Help us push this forward. Share it with everybody. Share it with your pets if you must. Just help us get the word out there. If this is something that you like, there are probably other people that feel the exact same way. Help them get the information, and it will make just everybody happy across the board. Like I said, I'm all about finding things that people enjoy, putting it in their hands. All right. Last but not least, thank you for showing up. Thank you for watching this live stream later down the road. However you digest this material, thank you very much for your time, your generous attention, and we will see you soon. The next live stream is going to be on Tuesday, and that is going to be the story so far, where we sum up everything that's happened so far and kind of distill it down for you in case you've missed other live streams, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, we'll have other live streams. We have 3 a week. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight because I'm exhausted and have a very busy day ahead of me. So everybody get some rest out there. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. Sleep well. Happy gaming. And I will talk to you soon. Everybody take care out there and have a wonderful night.